Juma, don't make me choose between you and my dreams. But Juma stood up and turned his back on her. I already have. Amina felt as if the world was crumbling beneath her feet. She had always imagined a future with Juma, but now she realized he did not believe in her dream. He wanted her to stay to be the same person forever. As she stood on the stage, holding her trophy, she thought about the journey that had brought her here. The nights she had cried, the doubts and the pain of leaving home. It had all been worth it, because now she was exactly where she wanted to be. As we dive into our video, just let me know in the comment section where you're watching this from. And if you've not yet subscribed, kindly subscribe to it. I don't want you guys to miss out anything. And if you're my returning viewer, thank you so much for always stopping by. So let us dive into our amazing video. Thank you. Amina was a young woman with golden hand. In her small village, she was known as the best tailor anyone had ever seen. Every morning, she would sit by her tiny wooden sewing machine, the sound of the needle moving up and down filling the air like a song. Women, young and old, came to her little shop with excitement, knowing that whatever she made would be perfect. Amina's talent was more than just sewing. She had a way of looking at plain fabrics and turning them into magic. Where others saw an ordinary cloth, Amina saw a beautiful dress waiting to be born. She would mix colors in the ways that no one else could, making dresses that made people gossip with admiration. Her work was neat, her patterns were unique, and her finishing smooth like silk. No one in the village could match her skills, and her fame grew every day. But despite her success, Amina dreamed of something bigger. She wanted to go beyond the village, to learn more, to grow, and to share her talent with the world. She often imagined herself in a big city, surrounded by colorful fabrics, working with the best designers, and seeing her clothes on grand stage. However, there was one problem: her boyfriend, Juma. Juma was a hard-working man who loved Amina deeply. They had grown up together, played under the big tree as children, and now they were planning to get married. He believed in a simple life, where a woman stayed close to her home, raised children, and took care of her family. To him, the village was everything. He could not understand why Amina wanted to leave. One evening, as they sat under the same tree, Amina tried once again to tell him about her dreams. Juma, I love my work, but I love to learn more. I want to see what the world has to offer. Juma frowned, his dark eyes filled with concern. But why? Aren't you happy here? You are the best tailor in the village. Everyone admires you. What more do you want? Amina sighed, looking up at the twinkling stars. I want more than just the village tailor. I want my dreams, I want my design to be seen by the people beyond this place. I want to grow, Juma. Juma shook his head firmly. The city is not for you. Here you have a family, friends, and a home. Why chase after something uncertain? Amina felt her heart sink. She loved Juma, but she also loved her dreams. And deep inside, she feared that if she didn't chase them now, she might never get the chance again. One bright morning, excitement spread through the village like wildfire. A special guest was visiting Mama Tendo, the wealthiest woman in the village. Everyone whispered about it, their voices filled with curiosity. A famous designer is coming, from the city, a woman told Amina as she fitted a dress for a customer. His name is Chaligonza. They say he makes clothes for rich and powerful people. Amina's heart skipped a bit. Chaligonza? She had heard of him before. His designs were in magazines, and people in the city spoke of him with admiration. She had always wished to see his work in person, but never in her wildest dreams did she think he would come to her village. That afternoon, a shiny black car rolled into Mama Tendo's compound. It was the most beautiful car anyone had ever seen in the village. Chaligonza stepped out, tall and confident, his suit sharp and stylish. He looked like a man who belonged to a different world, a world Amina longed to be part of. Mama Tendo welcomed him warmly. She had prepared a photo shoot to showcase one of her finest dresses, and when she stepped out wearing it, Chaligonza's eyes widened in admiration. "This dress is stunning," he exclaimed. "Where did you get it?" Mama Tendo smiled brightly. "It was made by our village tailor, Amina." Chaligonza turned and amazed. "A village tailor?" He shook his head in disbelief. "I must meet this person." The moment Amina heard her name being called, she felt her hands tremble. Was this real? Could a designer as great as Chaligonza truly want to meet her? She quickly dusted off her apron, strengthened her dress, and walked nervously to Mama Tendo's house. When she arrived, Chaligonza looked at her with curiosity. "You made this dress?" he asked, pointing at Mama Tendo. Amina swallowed hard and then nodded. "Yes, sir." He examined the stitches, the patterns, and the fitting was flawless. He looked back at her with admiration. "You are gifted," he said. "Your talent is rare." Amina's heart pounded. She had never been received such praise from someone so important. And then Chaligonza said something that could change her life forever. "You should not be in this village. You belong in the city. Come work with me." Amina felt as if time had stopped. Had she heard correctly? Was Chaligonza really offering her a job in the city? She opened her mouth to speak, but no words came out. Her dream, the very thing she had dreamed for, was now within her reach. But before she could answer, she thought of Juma. That evening, she rushed to him to tell him the good news. She found him sitting outside his house, sharpening his knife as the sun set in golden hues. "Juma," she said breathlessly, "Chaligonza offered me a job in the city." Juma looked up, his face unreadable. "A job?" "Yes." Amina's eyes sparkled with excitement. "I'll learn from the best. I'll get to make dresses for important people. This is my chance." But Juma did not smile. Instead, his face darkened. "And what about me? About our life together? Our plans to get married?" Amina's excitement dimmed slightly, but she took his hand in hers. "Juma, I love you, but this is my dream. I have to take this chance." Juma pulled his hands away. "If you leave, Amina, don't come back." Tears filled her eyes. "Juma, don't make me choose between you and my dreams." But Juma stood up and turned his back on her. "I already have." Amina felt as if the world was crumbling beneath her feet. She had always imagined a future with Juma, but now she realized he did not believe in her dream. He wanted her to stay to be the same person forever. And so, with a heavy heart, Amina made her decision. She would go. The night before Amina left, she sat under the old big tree, the same place where she and Juma had spent so many evenings dreaming about their future. But tonight, she was alone. The village was quiet, except for the birds and the soft rustling leaves in the wind. Her heart ached. She had hoped that Juma would change his mind, that he would come running to tell her he supported her. But he didn't. Early the next morning, she packed her few belongings, a handful of fabrics, her sewing kit, and a small band of clothes. The village bus arrived just as the sun was rising, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold. Few villagers gathered to see her off, some wishing her well, others whispering in harsh voices. "She's leaving a good man behind," one woman muttered. "She's foolish to go to the city," another said. Amina held her head high. She would not let their words shake her. She had made her choice. As she climbed on the bus, she glanced around one last time, just hoping that Juma would come. But he was nowhere to be seen. With a deep breath, she took her seat. As the bus rumbled forward, she wiped away her tears. She was leaving behind everything she had ever known. But in her heart, she knew this was just the beginning. The moment Amina stepped off the bus, the city overwhelmed her. Tall buildings stretched into the city, cars honked loudly, and the people moving quickly, their faces focused and determined. It was nothing like her quiet village she had left behind. Chaligonza was waiting for her at the station, dressed in his usual sharp suit. "Welcome to your new home," he said with a smile. Amina followed him through the busy streets, her eyes wide with wonder. Everything was big, brighter, and faster than she had ever imagined. At Chaligonza's fashion house, she was introduced to other designers, men and women who had studied fashion in big schools and worked with famous clients. At first, she felt small, like she didn't belong. But then, she remembered why she came here. She had a gift, and she was ready to prove herself. She worked tirelessly, learning new techniques, experimenting with new fabrics, and watching Chaligonza closely each day. She improved, and soon people started to notice her work. One evening, after a long day, Chaligonza walked up to her. "Amina, you are just talented. You are extraordinary. One day, you will be a bigger designer than you ever imagined." Amina smiled, her heart swelling with pride. She was on the right path. But then, news from the village arrived, news that made her heart stop. Amina had just finished sewing the final stitches on a dress when a letter arrived from Mama Tendo. She opened it with a shaky hand. "Juma has married another woman." The words blurred before her eyes. She read them again, hoping she had misunderstood. But it was true. Juma had moved on. For a moment, she sat frozen. She had always known this would happen. She had left, and he had to choose to stay. But somehow, deep down, she had hoped that he would wait, that maybe one day he would understand why she had to leave. Tears lined her cheeks. It hurt more than she expected. But then, she took a deep breath and wiped her face. She would not let this break her. She had come too far. She had a dream to build, and nothing, not even a heartbreak, would stop her. Amina buried herself into her work, using her pain as fuel to push forward. She spent sleepless nights perfecting her designs, sketching new ideas and stitching with new fabrics. The fashion house was always busy, filled with designers preparing for the upcoming fashion show. But Amina stood out. Her designs were flash, different, with mixed traditional African prints with modern styles, creating dresses that no one had ever seen before. One by one, people started to take notice. Clients who had once ignored her now lined up to see her work. Even Charlie Gonza watched her with admiration. "You remind me of myself when I was younger," he told her one evening. "But you, Amina, might be even better." Amina smiled, but she knew she wasn't there yet. She still had more to prove. Then one day, the big moment of her career arrived. A famous city magazine announced that they were looking for a fresh new designer to showcase at the biggest fashion event of the year. Charlie Gonza walked into the studio holding the invitation. "Amina," he said, "I want you to design a dress for this show." Her heart pounded. This was the opportunity she had been waiting for. But could she do it? She looked at the fabric in front of her, felt the weight of her dream, and took a deep breath. Yes, she could. A week before the show, another letter arrived from the village. Amina hesitated before opening it. Was it more news about Juma? Did she even wanted to know? Slowly, she unfolded the paper and read the words. "Amina, we are proud of you." She blinked in surprise. It was from Mama Tendo. "Everyone in the village has heard about your success. Your name is in the news, and your designs are admired by people in the city. Even Juma," Amina's breath caught. "Even Juma regrets letting you go." For a moment, she just stared at the letter. A part of her wanted to hear those words, to know that Juma finally understood. But now she realized something. She didn't need his approval anymore. She had become someone greater than the girl who once begged for his support. She had built his. The night of the show arrived. The venue was grand, filled with bright lights and camera flashing. Models walked on the runway in designer outfits. Each piece was stunning than the last. Backstage, Amina's hands trembled as she adjusted the final stitches on her dress. She had created something bold, a mix of African prints, flowing silk, and bead work that told a story. "Are you ready?" Charlie Gonza asked, placing a hand on her shoulder. She took a deep breath and nodded. As her model stepped out of the runway, the room went silent. And then, as if someone had lit a spark, the crowd erupted. People gossiped, whispering, pointing. Amina could hear them saying her name. When the show ended, the judges announced the best designer of the night. It was Amina. She covered her mouth in shock. She had won. Tears filled her eyes as she walked onto the stage to receive her award. She had done it. She had proved to the world and to herself that she was more than just a village tailor. She was a designer. After the show, as Amina stood backstage, soaking in the moment, she heard a voice she never expected. "Amina." She turned and saw him. Juma. He looked different, older, his face lined with something that looked like regret. He stepped forward, searching her face. "I made a mistake," he said. "I should have supported you. I should have believed in you." Amina felt a strange calm wash over her. For years, she had imagined this moment. She had dreamed of him realizing what he had lost. But now, standing in front of him, she felt nothing. She had moved on. She smiled softly. Juma, I'm happy to see you now. But my life has changed. I have changed. Juma lowered his gaze, nodding slowly. I understand. Amina took one last look at the man she had once loved, then turned away. She had places to go, dreams to chase, and she wasn't going to go back. Winning the fashion competition opened doors Amina had never imagined. Her designs were now in magazines, and celebrities wanted to wear her dresses. People called her the rising star of African fashion. But Amina wanted more. One day, she sat in her office, looking at her sketches of new designs, when an idea came to her. She didn't just want to make clothes, she wanted to teach. She remembered the young girls in the village who loved sewing but had no one to guide them. She thought about how she had struggled to chase her dreams. That night, she made a decision. She would open a fashion school. Months later, Amina received a special invitation. She was being honored as one of the biggest designers in the country. The award ceremony was grand, filled with the biggest names in fashion. As she stood on stage, holding her trophy, she thought about the journey that had brought her here. The nights she had cried, the doubts, the pain of leaving home. It all had been worth it, because now she was exactly where she wanted to be. When Amina returned to her village, she was not the same girl who had left years ago. She was Amina the designer, Amina the success story. The villagers welcomed her with songs and dances. Even those who had doubted her now looked at her with pride. And Juma stood at distance watching silently. Amina had no hunger towards him, only gratitude. Because if he had not let her go, she would not have become who she was today. Amina started her fashion school, training young girls from villages across the country. She taught them what she had learned, showing them that they could be more than what others expect them to be. She wanted them to know that dreams were worth chasing. One day, as she was watching a group of young girls sewing, she smiled. This was her true success. Years later, Amina's name was known across the world. She had built a fashion empire, but more than that, she had built a legacy. And every night before she slept, she would think about the little girl who once dreamed under the big tree. She had chose her life, and she won. This is the end of our story. Leave something in the comment section. Let me know what you've learned and give a thumb up to this video. I love you all. See you in my next video. Bye-bye.